Continuing on the theme of family law cases, when it comes to injunctions, an injunction is commonly referred to as a restraining order, but if you really want to be that technical person, the injunction is the proper legal term for it, but a restraining order is a more common term you may hear in everyday language. A restraining order or an injunction, if you're not familiar with it, is a request to a judge that's made by a person who feels that that person is either the victim of stalking or the victim of sexual violence or the victim of repeat violence or dating violence. So we have several types of injunctions in Florida. Regardless, and I'm not going to get into detail on injunctions, the point that I want to get at is this. If someone applies for an injunction or asks a judge to issue an injunction, that request is public record. Now, what if the judge denies the request? What if the judge dissolves an injunction later? Is that still public record? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We get calls, I wouldn't say regularly, but I would say certainly occasionally, from people who say, hey, wait a minute, there was an injunction against me 10 years ago, but the judge dissolved it. Why is that still public record? And all I can really do is shrug my shoulders and say, well, that's what the law tells us. And these are the rules that are imposed upon us by the Florida Supreme Court. As you can see, much like with other types of family cases, when it comes to injunctions, we do put basic information online, but because of the very personal nature of these kinds of cases and because of the personal nature of family cases in general, we limit the amount of information that's available online. So if you want to see if John Smith has ever had an injunction against him, you can absolutely enter John Smith and you'll see if John Smith ever had an injunction entered against him. You will also be able to see if that injunction was dissolved, when it was dissolved, etc. But what you will not be able to see is the actual content of the file. So for example, you'll be able to see that someone sought an injunction against John Smith on February 2nd of 2012. What you will not be able to read is the actual petition itself. So you'll see that a petition was filed for an injunction on February 2nd of 2012, but you will not be able to read the copy of the actual petition. That information will not be available online. That information is only available by coming in person to the courthouse.